Welcome to r/idontworkherelady, where we share stories about folks that are mistaken for employees by irate customers. If you are new to my channel, please don't forget to subscribe because I upload daily videos. Without wasting any more time, let's dive right in. Wholesome Disney World I Don't Work Here Lady interaction. I took a family vacation to Disney World for the first time. It was awesome because it's Disney World and with my family, and I hope we can do this again in 5 years because I for sure missed out on some awesome stuff. This happened on the last day in Disney World in Pandora. I was in the large store that sold the puppet raptors, cannot remember what they are called at the moment, and I saw there was some we could play and mess around with that was not in the small corner. Being a huge fan of small puppets like this, I could not help but mess around with the blue one. Since I knew my mom and everyone would take forever in buying what they wanted, I just messed with it for a good 10 minutes. Of course, people walked by and saw me playing with it, made it stare at whoever walked by and shake its wings at them. A lady and her kid walk by, the kid stops and messes with it for a bit before they leave. Some girls light up when I make it stare at them while I was not looking directly at them. It takes another lady with her daughter to walk by and ask me how much one of these wear. The cast is me, was wearing a blue and grey stitch pattern short sleeve t-shirt and ripped jean pants. I look like I'm in high school when really I graduated a year ago. NL, nice lady about mid-30s with cool looking sunglasses. And G, her daughter, did not speak but was there.
So, how much is one of these?
Me, kinda expensive. I think it's like $400 for a stand and everything, but by themselves it's about $200.
Really? Do you know if there are any deals?
Me, I think there's one going on now. Buy the whole set and stands for like $600 in total. Good deal if you ask me, but too pricey for me.
Well, can you show me?
Me points to one of the workers in the corner with a puppet on her shoulder. Ask one of them, they know about the deal. I'm just visiting here from Hawaii.
Oh, you don't work here. I'm sorry, you were messing around with the puppet. I thought you were a worker.
G looks shocked but gets red in the face a bit. Me, it's fine, I just love messing with puppets, but I wish I worked here, that would be awesome. They walk away towards the lady I had pointed to, the girl waving bye to me as I was called to leave. No, I did not get paid for free advertising, but it was a feel-good moment for me and probably why I took up hospitality this semester in college. By the way, on a more personal note, have you guys ever visited one of the Disney parks in the US? If so, which one is your favorite? My girlfriend is gonna participate in the Disney Cultural Exchange program and she's going to be working at Disney World in Orlando. If you have any experience with that program, feel free to also let me know in the comments. I'm really curious. A manager tried to fire me. Around 20 years back, I worked in hardware support for a corporation. Desktop and server support, physical network installs, heck, I even did phone system punchdowns. This matters. I am on my way home when I decide to swing by my local electronics and media store for a DVD set that had just come out. It had a cool figurine with it. Unfortunately, my favorite color is blue and I had on a blue blouse. By the way, please tell me if I pronounce that word correctly. Anyway, I had on slacks with my tag and keycard flipped into my front pocket and a Wii wallet stuck in there. Went in, grabbed my box set and I am heading towards checkout when an older man asks if we have this network cable in longer length. His cart is just filled with different length of cable. His son and him were setting up a LAN. Told them I did not work there and then added in that if they wanted to save some bucks, they could make the cables themselves and went into a spiel about how to do it and what to get. He was super excited. Cool. I feel a tap on my shoulder and I turn around to see some guy with a button up and a manager's tag on. He was smiling and polite and asked me to come with him. Said he needed to ask me about something, so I went. Got to the area where the bathroom and the water fountains were and the smile dropped. Apparently, he had just started as the assistant manager 2 days before and had been waiting to talk to me. The exact wording is lost to time, but apparently he thought I was someone named Amber who worked there, and since I was late again, as well as advising a customer against a purchase, he was going to have to let me go. Apparently, he missed the "I don't work here" part. I explained I didn't work there, and while I was doing this, he interrupted me to ask me why I was not wearing my tag, which he would need back. And he reached down and grabbed my tag, which was attached to an elastic clip. He pulled, I dropped the DVD set, crack, and out came my tag, keycard and wallet. So I cursed loudly because he's standing there holding a tag that clearly does not say Amber and is bleeding all over it. He apparently cut himself when the clip snapped to him. At which point he says something about me scratching him with my nails, of which I didn't have because of work, plus I never touched the guy, and walks through the doors still holding my tag and keycard. I scoop up my wallet and went after him. He snatched a phone off the wall and is calling the police. So I am yelling at this point, "Dude, give me my effing tag back!" Idiot assistant manager, "I was just assaulted." Of course I freak out. 911 operator probably thought he was being assaulted by the way I was yelling. Finally I calm down and just stand there with my arms crossed, refusing to move with him holding my tag over his head like I am 5 years old. Police show up and we both tell our stories. The older cop pulls him off to the side and then me. Finally, both the cops, him and I are all standing there. His story, it seems, is that I was trying to steal the DVDs and I had assaulted him when he tried to stop me. The older cop simply asked him, "Why are you holding her tag?" The assistant manager looked down at his hand, still bloody, and starts stammering that he took it so I could not leave. Manager has now shown up and I tell my story again. He looked like he had swallowed a bug. Cop asked about the employee Amber. Sure enough, she was already on the floor. It seems the fact that I knew Amber had a habit of being a few minutes late convinced both the cops and the manager. I did press charges. If he had done that stupid crap and then had just apologized, it would have been one thing. But he was clearly feeling big in the britches, and when he made a mistake, decided to lie. Honestly, that manager was insane. Who the hell has the audacity to basically assault an employee, or rather assumed employee, and then call the police? I don't know about you guys, but I would definitely also have pressed charges against that guy. By the way, if you have watched until here, please don't forget to like the video and post some star emojis in the comments if you want to support me. Furthermore, if there's anything you think I can still improve, please let me know in the comments. He does not work here, I do. As the title indicates, I work in a store. A grocery store to be exact. I've worked there for 6 years in every part of the store except for the fresh departments, produce, meat, bakery, deli, and know the store well. As with every store, we have vendors that come and stock their product. Most of them make an effort to not dress anything like our uniform, which is a grey polo and black pants. Yesterday I saw one of our vendors wearing a bright royal blue t-shirt, looking around confused, and a wild Karen staring at him expectantly. I asked her what she was looking for. She said, "He's helping me." I said, "He doesn't work here. What is it you are looking for?" Karen, "He's helping me." Me, "He does not work here. What are you looking for?" Karen, "Oh, I'm looking for..." Normally I will take a customer to what they are looking for, but this time I just said, "Aisle 9C, top shelf." Vendor dude gave me a grateful, "Thanks man." That's actually the first time I hear that vendors in a supermarket stock their own products. To be honest, I always thought the only people that stock the shelves in a supermarket are the employees. But then again, maybe that's only the case in the US, I'm not sure. Sticky fingers and a green thumb. I work in a job that often requires a lot of miscellaneous furniture and decorative items. This means I find myself at IKEA quite regularly with a shopping list the length of my arm. At this point, I know every shortcut where all the trolley and basket stacks are around the shop. They are not nearly enough. And I've got the layout down pretty well. It's far from my favorite place on earth, but it no longer terrifies me like it did the first time I found myself walking the 70-mile showroom. Now my story is a bit like a Russian doll because I've actually had quite a few different encounters, and each time I think I've popped the head off the beast, there's another smaller, more vaguely annoying encounter lurking inside, just waiting for the next time I find myself at the mercy of the blue and yellow gods. And you can say I'm being dramatic, and I am, but as with any good Russian doll, the tiny woman at the center is always the one to really watch out for. Normally, the extent of the encounters I have is someone asking me where something is in the store, or asking me if I can check inventory for something, is that even a thing at IKEA, and honestly, if I can help direct them I do, before politely telling them I don't actually work there. I get my apologies and my thank yous, and then I wander off to get the next thing on my list. But then there was the thief, TT. On this occasion I was in the greenhouse picking up plants. I needed around 40 plants and pots ranging from succulents to mini trees, and I had 5 trolleys circled around me by the time I was done. I hadn't really had a plan of the exact plants I needed when I went in, as it's easier to figure out the logistics when I've got the stock in front of me. You also cannot order anything from the greenhouse online. So I am finally done, red-faced and sweating from hauling plants around, and I realize I now have to get me and my 5 trolleys to the checkout. The way the shop is laid out, this just means getting out of the greenhouse and then dragging my cargo across the warehouse, but it's still a fair distance. I've got the exact stuff I need, and I was paranoid that someone might try and take something, so I did it in little increments, getting all the trolleys to checkpoints along the way instead of taking one the whole way and then coming back for the next one. It turns out it was a smart move, as partway through one of the checkpoints I turned back to see a woman rooting through one of my trolleys. I quickly sprinted back to her. Me? Oh, sorry, those are actually my trolleys. I took the handle of the one nearest to her and smiled. She frowned back at me. TT,
but you left them.
Me? I was not abandoning them. I just have too many to move all at once. She did not respond, she just turned and walked off to another shelf, and after a moment of watching her go, I got back to the job at hand. It was barely 2 minutes later when I caught her at it again. This time trying to take one of the plants out of the trolley. I ran back again, starting to get annoyed. Me? Hey, excuse me, please could you put that back? She looked a bit startled, but was still frowning at me when she spoke. TT?
Why?
Me? Because it was in my trolley, you cannot just take it out.
Well, where are they in the shop then? I cannot find them.
She gestures with the plant still in her hand, so I reach out to take it back from her. I sigh internally, as I was pretty sure I'd got the last couple and had to diversify my own purchase due to low stock, but wanting to be rid of her, I pointed her towards the area I'd found them and tried to hurry up and get to the checkout faster. But I was not fast enough. I was almost there, almost to salvation, when I found the woman back at my cart trying to pull out one of the plants again. I'd shifted them around a little to make it a bit harder, so she hadn't quite freed it when I got there. Me? Hey, I told you you cannot do that. Put it back. TT?
No, there aren't any left. I need this one.
Well, I'm sorry there aren't any left, but you cannot just take one from my trolley because of that.
This is ridiculous. Why the hell not? Do I honestly have to wait for you to stock the shelves before I can take them? That's insane, when I could just take it now and save us both the trouble.
And suddenly I realized what was happening again. Miss, I don't work here. I'm a customer like you. This is stuff I want to buy. I watched as her brain computed this revelation. She looked me up and down like she was assessing whether I could be trusted before obviously deciding she needed to exit the situation. Spluttering something that could have been an apology, she turned and left, walking back to the greenhouse. I finished my relay race and checked out successfully. I did not see TT again. In a way, I do get where she was coming from. Someone pushing around 5 trolleys of foliage probably does look a bit strange amongst the new couples picking out bedside tables and the families browsing for desk chairs. But then again, I was not in uniform, told her to leave the stuff alone multiple times, and was pretty obviously heading away from the greenhouse where any stocking would have taken place. So she's also kind of an idiot. I am not looking forward to the next IKEA trip. By the way, do any of my ripe stars also despise IKEA as much as me? Honestly, whenever you are there, it feels like you are running, or rather walking, a marathon, and in the end you still haven't found anything that you want to buy. But either way, as a little bonus for all my old school loyal viewers, the next 2 stories will be about church drama. The next story was posted by user Chris Husky on our own subreddit r/ripestories and is about church drama as mentioned before. It is titled Creationists at the Medieval Fair Doing Missionary Work. Hello Ripe and fellow Redditors. A story I saw in a video by you reminded me of this incident that happened a few years ago. This story contains church drama entitled People and Pro Revenge, I'm German and I make spelling mistakes. Our group was booked as night watch for a medieval fair in the south of Lower Saxony, Germany. We knew the organizers personally and were good friends with them. We were also tasked to keep an eye out for thieves during the daytime when we were awake. For those of you who are not familiar with these kind of watches, it starts at 10 PM and ends when the first people who belong to the fair are up, usually around 8 AM. Then we can go to bed. We don't sleep much, but that's okay. Free coffee and food plus a bit of money. That year, however, was the most stressful for us. We had more drunk people and guys messing with the tents. The worst part were the creationists. They booked a space with the organizers. They had a replica of the Gutenberg printing press. Pretty sweet, Google it. As carpenter, I was fascinated with it and wanted to ask the guys about it. They were more interested in printing out a psalm from the Bible and handing it to the people and telling them about God. They were not even dressed for the fair. Over the course of 2 days, they did this. The stonemason who was next to them got angrier by the minute as he heard their shit talk. He was very close to throw rocks at them. We intervened. After everything calmed down, the stonemason sat on his chair and I chatted with him a bit, as suddenly one of the preachers went over to us. There's a bit conversation here, I remember every word of it. Preacher P, stonemason S, me. S, leave my space, you got no business here. P,
Let me tell you.
S, no, you leave now. Me, sir, please step away. P,
Last night, I cried before God for you.
watch out or you will be crying because of me. Sir, step away or you will be escorted away. The preacher left the stonemason alone after that. We told the organizers. In the background, every single attendee hatched plans to get rid of them. The organizers gave the permission for one plan. But we had to wait until he spoke with them. After he told them that next year they were not welcome anymore, we brought our plan to life. We stood with more than 40 people and the bards in front of the preacher's stand and sang Hey, wir sind Heiden by Rabenschrei, translates to Hey, we are pagans. They got the message and broke down their stand. They did not return for the third day and we had our peace and got our meat. You don't mess with medieval fair people. Thank you, Chris, for this interesting story. And this actually makes me wonder if these medieval festivals ever happen in the US. I would imagine that's more of a European thing, but please correct me if I'm wrong. The busybody strikes long after I stopped going to church. I am here for the drama juice, and if you read any of my older posts you would know who I am chatting about. We call her the head of the Busybody Bureau. As quoted in the title, I stopped going to church for a while now for personal reasons. My faith in God is still there, Jesus still takes my wheel. I just don't like my church after a certain incident that I touched on before. Anyway, this happened probably 2 weeks ago, but someone in my household brought it up. It was a quiet weekday and I was not doing anything in particular. The house phone rang and my mother picked it up, then informed me to take the receiver from her hands. It was naturally odd since we live in an age of cell phones and anybody that would want to talk to me already has my number. I can tell it was someone I did not want to converse with based off the look on my mom's face. She was smirking, almost ready to laugh at my expense. It was the church busybody. I barely got a hello in before being barraged with comments on my lifestyle, plus personal and extremely nosy questions. Every time I tried to speak up, I was interrupted. Any normal person would probably hang up to the sound of high bat, like shrill, nagging and chatter, but not me, dear friends. I simply moved the phone away from my ear and waited for her to stop. But the steam locomotive that was her mouth was on full charge and ready to roll. I actually stepped away from the phone and moved to get a book to read and she continued on and on. I was not completely rude, however, I kept the phone close by. She was practically screaming, so there was no need to keep it by my ear. I don't know how to quite explain this one-sided conversation. Keep in mind, we have not talked for probably 2 years or so. It was a mix of complaining about young people, finger-pointing, personal questions that she would not give me time to answer, plus a few dashes whining. But the thing that got me was when she said,
"People claimed others left the church because of the things I've said or done, but it's not my fault. They chose to leave."
It took everything from within me to not burst out laughing. I mean, choosing to leave any organization is a self-conscious decision. But of course, someone's treatment of you can be a contributing factor to all decision making. But far be it from me to explain any of this to her. Once she started to run out of steam, I managed to reassure her that it was not her fault why I decided to no longer go to services. I still take part in church-related functions to raise money and do my fair share outreaches. I even take 1 day out of the week to clean the sanctuary until it is spotless because deep down I love the church. I grow up there. I tried explaining this to her, but she had none of it. I guess you cannot be a good Christian unless your physical body is in a church once a week between certain hours. Or at least that's how she put it. As you can imagine, I was pretty damn tired of her complaining. So I tried my best to wrap up the conversation. If you can even call it that. I've been debating if I should move states and I told her this. She lost her mind. She started yelling and saying crap like,
"You're moving away from the church. You cannot do this. We have to pray that you make the right choice now. Bow your head. We are gonna pray right now."
Now I am not one to pass up a prayer. She then proceeded to pray that I find sense and that I don't go anywhere. Once she was done, I tried to say my goodbye. She then proceeded to say she loved me and only talked to me as such because she loved me. Wrap your head around that mess. She also informs me that she hoped I do the right thing. Even now I have no idea what her endgame was. But one thing is certain. I hope I don't accidentally run into her on the street. Actually, that story made me think about the phrase that you cannot be a good Christian unless you go to church regularly. What do you guys think about that? In my opinion, you can definitely be a good Christian even if you don't go to church every weekend. But either way, unfortunately, that is the last story for today. I hope you enjoyed the church drama and I Don't Work Here Lady. And as you know, recently I really like to mix the stories up and do a different subreddit almost every day. So please also tell me if you like that. Anyway, I hope you have a fantastic day and I see you again tomorrow.